Now, as a demonstration of the full scanning process, we're going to go through and scan each of the items of one unit of measure, or all the units of measure of one product, I should say. The product we're going to do is this one here, which is a protector safety specs, which comes in the each. The next unit of measure up is the box, and then the third unit of measure is this card. We're going to capture each of the scans, each of the details on each unit of measure as we go, starting with the smallest one. Now, when you first turn on the QB scanner, you'll get a screen pretty much blank like that. And obviously what we do is we locate the product that we're interested in within the database, assuming that it's there, and in most cases it will be. And then we will go through and do each unit of measure with each length and breadth and weight and each barcode where there is one. The first thing is locate the product, and you may be able to scan one of the scan a stock label or something for the product number. You should have it on your list, of course, but what you would do if you did were working from the list, you key that product number in, which I'll do here, 065 20986, and when you press tab, it takes you off that line in the screen and it goes and finds the information. Now, it didn't find the information when I tabbed off then, and the reason was that I didn't have this checkbox ticked. You have the ability to search both for the product number, the part number, or the product barcode, if that's in the system. And of course, as we go forward, we'll have more in the system and you'll be able to actually search for the product barcode. But whichever one you want to do, you've got to have that checkbox highlighted. So put the little tick in the checkbox, move back onto that screen, have the cursor there and then press tab, and then hopefully it will bring up the details on that product, which it is. Now in this case, there are already a number of different scans against that product. That won't be the case normally, but you will often see this screen. Now, what you've got to do from that is select on the basis of the unit of measure code and the product, of course, and possibly the vendor, because you'll get multiples here if you've got more than one vendor for the product as well. You've got to pick the one you're after. We're after the each and unit of measure 1, which is this third line there. So we double click on the third line, and then it populates the data for the each. And you can see that it is the each because we have the each unit of measure code and unit of measure 1. So the each is always unit of measure 1, or the smallest unit is always unit of measure 1. So to do the, once we've got that stuff there, make sure the vendor's right and the product details are right. We work our way down each of the fields just to make sure. So is it nestable? Generally not. I mean, you might argue a little bit about that one, but we'll say no. We're doing the each, of course. The unit of measure conversion quantity for an each is always 1, just 1 to 1. The date should default. The unit of measure barcode number, so we would take that by scanning it off the product. You could key it in if you needed to, if the scanner wasn't working or having difficulty reading that code. But what we're going to do is just scan the barcode. Now, what you do, of course, need to do is have the cursor in that field, because this scanner simply converts whatever it reads into text on the screen. It does no more than that. So you've got to have the cursor in the right position to do that. So we'll try that again. Scan, and then it's populated, so that's fine. The next one is unit of measure requires carton, which is the packaging type. And this is a split case, obviously. This is something that you're going to need to pack into another box. So split case is right. We ignore the next two, unit of measure shipping type and quantity put away labels. the scan location should default to your site, and it's not unable to measure, and its unit of measure 1. So everything's right there. So what we next do is put the item on the QB scanner. And one thing I am going to do here is make sure that I'm folding over that plastic hang cell flap, because it's not really part of the product. If I just put it on the cubic scanner and measured it, it would say that whole length would probably take on the volume of the width, the maximum width, and that's not the case. So at the very least we fold that over. Because it's an oddly shaped item, we put it on just in the middle of the bed of the QB scanner, and we swing the gate around to measure. Not too fast or you'll get an error. And if all goes well, what happens is it registers. Now the error message I'm getting is item exceeds boundary, which basically means the machine's a bit dirty, I think. So it's picking up something that is outside the size of the bed. So I'll put it back on there and give it another try. And it's like this time. And so it weighs 0.28 roughly. Length of 11.4, width 17.8, and height of 5 centimetres. So it's actually swapped the length and the width, the way we'd talk about it, but that's close enough. Now, remember the most important thing that we're trying to get here is to make sure that we're calculating the volume in terms of how much space this is going to take up when it's packed in a box. So it's probably actually not going to take up that much space. What's really going to happen is it's probably going to get squished down to something like that, if there's anything else in the box. So once you've done that first scan, just think about that. Have a look at the values that have been populated on the screen, 14 millimetres and 178 millimetres. This obviously is the 114, and the reality is it's not really that big. So you shouldn't worry, you shouldn't be afraid to change that measurement a little bit. You can manually key it, overkey it. I might just want to change that down to even as far as 90 millimetres, just to give us a little bit more accuracy in determining what the volume of that is. So I can just key that in by hand, tab it down, it's accepted that, and it's got the weight and all that stuff there. Now, normally, what you'd see up the top of the screen here would be data saved and ready to go. We've got a bit of an issue with the machine or the database at the moment. For some reason, it's not allowing us to update the latest record or the original record. So we'll get that fixed. What you'd normally see there is a green line. So that's done, that unit of measure. What we're now going to do is the next unit of measure, which is this box. And all we have to do is go back to the screen here and just change whatever needs to be changed for that unit of measure. Obviously the code and supplier is the same, it's certainly not going to be nestable, but now we're no longer doing each, we are doing a box. So we key in box. The unit of measure conversion quantity is how many of the smaller unit of measure, the each, goes into the box, and that happens to be 12. So there are 12 eaches in a box, so we key that in. The barcode also is different along the lines that we went through before. So I can scan the barcode for this, it updates in there, and forevermore we know that when we scan that barcode, we're scanning the box, and our system's going to identify the box. Scan that barcode, it's the each. Packaging type, do we need to put this in another carton for transport? Most of the time we would. This hasn't even got any sealing on the box, so definitely that is the split case, and it needs to go SC in that field. So we don't need to worry about the next. And the only thing we have to do, very carefully, is make sure that we're picking up unit of measure 2, because this is the next highest unit of measure. So the screen's all right. Now we can do the QB scan part. And because this is now a nice regular shape, I can probably just place it in the corner there and do the QB scan measure here, which I can do just by clicking that button, or as I will do by pressing F5. So now it's measuring, and it's got the correct measurements, which you can see here. It looks pretty good, and it does have the edit complete ready for next item. So the other units of measure are registering fine. Don't know why the first one wasn't, but we'll fix that. So that's 2 units of measure. We've got one more at least to do, and that's this box. So the box, as we saw, was a little bit large. I could possibly put it on the QB scanner, but of course I'm not going to, because I want to just demonstrate the fact that you don't have to use the QB scan. If you've got all the information on the product, then you can just go ahead and key it in. And as it happens, I do have that information. So we go back to the screen here, and all of this information is all the same, but in this case, so occasionally when you're moving to a different record, it's going to ask you, take you back to this select item screen, and you'll have to find the unit that you want again. And if it's not there, in this case carton is there because we've played with this product before, but if it's not there, just select any of the others, preferably from the same vendor if you've got more than one vendor, and then go and change what's on the screen. Don't click cancel, because that will wipe out all the data on the screen. So select either the right one or any one that you will change a few more details on. In this case, because we've already done it, we've got carton, and even the unit of measure conversion quantity 25, and the unit of measure 3 number, UOM number 3, and the fact that it's a full carton selected there. So this is, of course, something that can ship by itself. You just put a freight label on it and send it on its way. So it is a full carton. And do we have the right barcode number though? Well, we do, yes, because you can see that it starts with a 1, which means it's one of those larger carton type measures. So just for the hell of it, so all this information is right, except the data here in piece measurements. But I'm going to scan this again, just for the hell of it, because I want to demonstrate something that did happen last time I worked with this product. So I've scanned it, and what's happened is that it's picked up for some reason a couple of spurious characters at the start. Why it's done that, I don't know. There's possibly something wrong with that barcode. But all we can do, we can edit that barcode directly, get rid of the odd characters, make sure that it is what it is, 193, and then we're ready to go. So the next thing to do is to either put it on the QB scan, as we probably could do, but in this case I know what the dimensions are, and I'm just going to key them in. So the length is 810. I can tab between the fields. The width is 280. The height is 520. And I happen to know that the weight is 12.4 kilograms. What I have to do here, of course, is enter it in grams, so it's 12,400. So now all of that is in there. Don't worry about this dimension weight. That is a cube weight for freight, so we don't need to worry about that. So now we have everything right. And because we haven't used the QB scan, it's not going to save it automatically. We're going to have to go save F6 without the scan. So we've got F6, and it has saved that measure. Now again, just for fun, we're going to do one more, because I got this box from the PLS section of the Greystones warehouse here, so we do have full pallets of this item. There aren't too many of those that we have full pallets for, but because we've got it, we're going to key that in. So we go to another unit of measure, we're going to do unit of measure 4, the next one up. Again, it's taking me back to this screen here, the select item screen. I have done the palette before. If you hadn't, you just pick one and any of them and just then go and change what's on screen. But because we've done this one before, unit of measure 4, hopefully a lot of the information will automatically default. So same product and vendor. This time the unit of measure code is PLT for pallet. The conversion quantity is 10 because there's 10 cartons per pallet. Same dimension or same height, but just double the height because it's too high. This pallet doesn't have a barcode number, so we make sure that barcode number for a pallet is always blank. It certainly doesn't, it's not a full case and doesn't require a carton, but we just leave that as a full case one scenario. Everything else is okay. So all we've got to do once again is put in the weights. And again, I've actually already done it here from the last time we did it. But if under normal circumstances, these would be blank and you would put the measures in there. For the length and the width, you'll see that I have put in 1165. So the reason for that is, as you're probably aware, the dimensions of an Australian standard pallet. And even if the boxes, when they're stacked on the pallet, don't take up that full space, the unit as itself, the pallet itself, is going to take up that width and depth, and that's the one that we want to get. How much room is this thing going to take up in a pallet space or on a truck? So that's what we do. And when we do the height, of course, we include the height of the pallet. So it's probably 150 millimeters or something like that. When we do the weight, we include the weight of the pallet because that's what we're going to put on a truck potentially anyway. So we need that for our chain of responsibility, our container weight declaration. So as with all of these units of measure, include all the packaging in terms of the weight and also the dimensions. And in this case, the pallet is part of the packaging. If we were to ship it as a pallet, which we probably would not, but if we were, then it is part of the packaging. So that's all okay. Yep. So all I need to do, in fact, I don't think I've changed anything, so I could just leave it, but I will press F6 to save anyway. F6. And that's it. So we've now done one product, each of the 4 units of measure, one after the other. And forevermore now, until it changes, we will be able to, in any of our systems, our new systems, when they're embedded, be able to use the barcodes to scan and not just recognise the product, but the unit of measure of the product, whether it's a carton or a box or an inch. And then, of course, you would just go on to the next one. And many of our products will not have multiple units of measure. A lot of them there's just going to be the one, just an each, and that's fine. But please do your best to find all the units of measure that we will ever need to store and transact against. Part of our issue is we don't know what those are necessarily, unless a supplier tells us or we go and find it. So we're relying on you effectively to go and find those products and make sure that we include them. So that's it for the demo. I hope you have fun doing all the scanning. It's going to take a few months probably by the time we get to the end of it, but at least having the QB scanner here makes it a little bit easier. And once you get used to it, you'll rip through it, of course, a lot faster than we have on this one demo. So happy scanning and good luck. See you later.